Welcome in to the New Orleans Pelicans Podcast, the official podcast of your New Orleans Pelicans. A podcast dedicated to everything you need to know about the squad. Hear from players, coaches, broadcasters, and those who cover the NBA on a daily basis. It's time to flock up. The New Orleans Pelicans Podcast starts right now.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to New Orleans Pelicans Podcast, the official podcast of your New Orleans Pelicans. It is game day. Gus Kattengell with you, along with Jim Eichenhofer. You will be hearing from CJ McCollum and Andrew Lopez as they sat down with CJ to talk about the upcoming season and things like where he likes to eat and things of that nature. Plus, it is Wednesday, which means, Jim, you have some special numbers for us, some new things you're going to be debuting on the podcast. Are you happy? It's here. Finally, game day.
I'm very happy that the regular season is back. Watched some basketball on Tuesday night, but really looking forward to Wednesday with the Pelicans playing, as well as a bunch of other teams getting their first game under their belt.
Yeah, no doubt. Looking forward to that here as well. As the first thing that we have to start with is, well, that feeling. What is it like, head coach Willie Green, on having that sense today?
It's always a little bit of, nervousness in a good way. Excitement about the season starting. And, we all want to go out and have great carryover from all the concepts and all the play we've had during the course of preseason and training camp.
No doubt. And look, obviously, it's one of those things where he does have a new team. Like he says, there's a lot of young pieces. And one of the things that you have to, I guess, kind of get adjusted to is game action. I mean, you keep saying you almost wish they had another preseason game.
Right. I mean, that's going to be one of the things that we watch closely at the beginning of the season, the first few games, is the lineups that he uses. Obviously, there's a bunch of small lineups that he didn't get a chance to put together on the floor because in preseason, Zion and Ingram never played in the same game. So it'll be fascinating to see, how effective some of these groups can be, and kind of the evaluation of what is working the best and what isn't working, and going forward, how he divvies up the minutes in the lineups based on that.
Yeah, and we're going to see, obviously, if Zion is going to play tonight. Game time decision. Apparently, he's under the weather. DeJounte Murray was at shoot-around. Coach was asked about this yesterday, about you have all these best laid plans, and you don't really know who's going to be playing. And he says, look, that's life in the NBA.
Welcome to the NBA. Just already started the season. It is that mentality. It's like next man up. And we try not to make excuses about who's available. Every team is going to deal with having guys in and out at some point throughout the course of the season. And so it's really by committee, making sure that each and every guy on our team understands what we're trying to accomplish, making sure that we try to be as detailed as possible, and that we go and play with confidence. And I think our guys all understand that this is an opportunity for them if Zion doesn't play, if DeJounte doesn't play. But, we're hopeful we'll have them, but if not, this next man up mentality for sure.
Look, here's the thing, too, Jim. Regardless of who plays or not, this team's got to win more at home. Last year was remarkable. They were one of the or second best team in the NBA on the road, but not at home.
They actually had the best road record. They were 28-14. Boston was second at 27-14. We know how good the Boston Celtics were. They rolled to a championship last year. Pelicans were 18th in home record, though. They were only 21-19 at home. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's rare that you see a team have that kind of 500-ish record at home and still make the playoffs and still be one of the better teams. I mean, they almost won 50 games overall. So, I mean, of the teams that made the playoffs in the West, the Pelicans had the worst home record. So that's definitely something that they're going to have to make a big improvement upon.
Yeah, no doubt about it. I think one of the things that'll be interesting is, well, if they can play better at home or on the road. To me, the three-point shooting was the biggest difference for some reason. I mean, this team could shoot threes on the road and not at home. It was crazy.
Totally inexplicable. I mean, you would think that the arena, the gym that you're in all the time, that you'd be shooting threes well, and that you'd have difficulty when you're only playing in some of these other arenas once or twice a year. But the opposite was true. I mean, I do think that was the stat that was the most of a glaring difference. I mean, across the board, I think that was the one thing that you pointed to, and you're just like, this is the difference between why you're winning so constantly on the road and having trouble putting together any consistent runs at home.
Yeah, no, it's crazy. I asked Willie Green about that.
If we were good at home but bad on the road, would you be saying how we turn it around? No, it's just something we gotta get better at. Something we got to do is just take care of home court, and we have to have more of an attack mentality. Not necessarily protect, but just go after teams when they come in this building. Play with the spirit and energy that we know we're accustomed to playing with, and just keep that level of standard no matter where it is, at home or on the road.
CJ McCollum this morning after shoot around, same question to him.
Yeah, especially at home. We were great on the road last year. We want to get off to a good start at home, kind of establishing, the fact that it's going to be hard for teams to play here. We want to protect home court, and with the West, everybody is good, top to bottom. So you got to get as many wins as you can, and the more games you can be over 500, the better.
Earlier in the week, Jim, the thing that Willie Green said to me is kind of, not surprising because we know this. We know the importance of one game, right? The last 2 years, one game has mattered to the Pelicans seeding and being in the play-in. One game. Last year, we've brought this up. 3 teams being tied for first place in the Western Conference going into the final game of the season, which is crazy. 1, 2, and 3 were all tied, same record. So I understand that. But something else Willie Green says, like the team that's had one more win than the Pelicans has been in the Western Conference Finals.
Yeah, that is wild.
Think about that. Just one more win.
Yeah. I mean, Dallas won 50 games last year. The Pelicans won 49. Not only did the Mavs go to the Western Conference Finals, they went to the NBA Finals. And I'm assuming the year before that he's referring to the Lakers. Maybe won one more game than the Pelicans, and then they made it to Western Conference Finals before they got swept by Denver. But yeah, I mean, that's a really good point to think about in terms of we focus a ton throughout the season on, okay, if you finish 6th instead of 7th, you missed the play-in. If you finish 4th instead of 5th. But, I mean, to think about it in those terms of, like, how much better position you can put yourself in by winning one more game. And as tough as the West has been, it might be something that sets you up for a deep trip in the playoffs, which is exactly what Willie was talking about.
Yeah, no doubt. And, look, I asked Brandon Ingram that, too, the importance of how just one game matters.
Yeah, I think as you get more experience, you understand that it is must-have games as you continue to go through the schedule, especially trying to get into the playoffs and knowing that the West is stacked.
All right, so Jim, before we get to our interview with CJ McCollum, it's a simple thing for you. We always like to look at the way Willie Green looks at the season in 10-game increments. 5 on the road, 5 at home. That was split up, obviously. The Pels will play 1 here at the Smoothie King Center tonight and then go on the road for a baseball series with Portland this weekend and in Golden State to start the week next week before coming home and playing a couple of games at home. But 5 and 5, home and on the road, out of the first 10. I know we kind of talked about it earlier in the week, but what is a record you would feel comfortable with on Game 11 of us talking about?
Yeah, I think 7-3 is what I said the other day. I think I feel pretty good about that. I mean, 6-4, you're over 500 a little bit, but with the way that you're playing against several teams that didn't play very well last year, that are coming off kind of rebuilding situations, I would hope that you could be 7-3. So I mean, there's a third game against Portland in the first 8 as well. So got to take advantage of what is a more manageable part of the schedule if you compare it to pretty much the rest of the 82 games. This is rare that they're going to play teams that are coming off losing records last season. All
right, back on Sunday over at the open practice, you and Andrew Lopez had a chance to sit down with CJ McCollum. Can't wait to hear this conversation, as you will as well. Here you go.
Welcome back to the Pelicans Podcast. I'm very excited today because not only do we have a special co-host of Andrew Lopez, we have a special guest, CJ McCollum. Welcome to the Pelicans Podcast, CJ.
How you doing, man?
I'm doing well. First of all, before we get into some basketball stuff, wanted to get into something that's really more important than anything. Not sure if you realize this, but Andrew over here is an expectant dad. He's going to be a dad in the winter.
Shout out teen girl dad.
What advice do you have for him as a father that you can provide?
My advice would be enjoy your sleep now, for sure, in terms of just the peacefulness of it and the ability to get 7 or 8 uninterrupted hours, and then just be prepared to have a better appreciation and meaning going forward. I think having a daughter especially, it gives you a real perspective on life and shows you what's really important, what really means something to you.
Can honestly say I'm definitely
enjoying the 7 to 8 hours I'm getting a night right now, because I know that is going to change drastically not very, very soon, but soon enough.
A lot of people in New Orleans saw the second line that you had for your birthday, the celebration.
Yeah.
Can you kind of talk about how that came about? I feel people thought that was really cool.
Yeah, my wife planned a little birthday dinner for me. We had dinner at Patois maybe, and it was a really cool environment. Obviously, it was a good meal, and there was music playing while we were eating. I was like, that's weird. Like, there's music playing at this restaurant this late at night, and she was like, oh, that's crazy. There's music in here. And then they ended up coming in the room, and I was like, oh, you set this up. And she had set up the second line to come in and play during dinner, and then we went outside. We went around the whole restaurant, and then we went outside, and we was just dancing and having a good time. It was really thoughtful of her to do that, obviously being here in New Orleans and understanding what music and food and culture means to this city. It was really cool to have that as a part of my birthday celebration.
So it sounds like your wife has some good acting skills that she was able to kind of carry that through.
Yeah, I had no idea. I thought I was just there for dinner, and the music was took it to another level, and it was a lot of fun to be a part of. So that was really, really thoughtful of her.
Do you have like a top 3 or top 5 places you like to go, restaurants in the city now?
Oh, yeah. Bearcat for brunch. I love N7, Palador, 511. Lillette, Abellini Tavern is a good spot to go after games. Sophia, Doris. I can share more. If you like.
This is a true foodie right here who has his list.
Yeah, I got more.
Is this the list that you send to when somebody says, "Hey, I'm coming to New Orleans for the weekend. Send me a list," and you just send this document to
Shia, Pluck, St. James, Clancy's, Gianna's, Desi Vegas, Pizza Dominica, Miss River, Chimmy Alamer, Revolution, Baru.
I guess I could ask both of you guys while he's looking through the list.
All he's doing right now is making me hungry for places that I haven't been able to go in the last year.
Who's the bigger foodie in the organization? Is it CJ or is it Joel Myers?
Joel got more experience.
Joel's got his spots. Right. I feel like CJ might be a little bit more diversified in where he's going.
That's true. Yeah.
You go with Joel someplace, you know exactly where you're going and what city you're going to.
See, I got my spots, but I always get lists from people. So whether it's locals or people that played in the city, people that lived in the city, I'll get a 1, 2, 3 pager, and I'll just kind of go through them and see which one I'm feeling, go through the menu and pick. There's certain cities that I always eat at the same restaurants, but there's some cities I like to explore a little bit.
No, you've been in New Orleans now for, I think, 2.5 years, almost 3 years now. I think a lot of fans are curious. How do you describe this locker room with like some of the personalities you guys have and how much fun you guys have?
Yeah, we got a really good locker room. Obviously, losing guys like Larry and Najee and Dyson changes the culture a little bit, but guys are funny, they're entertaining. The people that you think are quiet aren't actually quiet. Everybody's telling jokes, everybody's interacting and just having a good time, and it's a really good group to be around. Youthful energy, youthful excitement, and it's a special group.
You've really started to form a bond with the city through your various. I mean, you've done stuff with I think Junior Nola with the journalism stuff. You've done stuff with your CJ McCollum with your scholarship stuff. I think you just had a dinner the other night. Why is doing those sorts of things? Why is that so important to you, no matter where you are? Yeah,
it's something that's been ingrained in me since I was a kid, and my wife believes in continuing to help make the world a better place. I believe in it. I think it's how we were raised, and for us, we're fortunate to be in a situation where we're able to make a great living for ourselves, and we understand that there's a lot of different needs that the city has. And as a kid who grew up in a certain type of environment, and as a husband to a woman who works in the dental realm, where she's been working in underserved communities for quite some time, has seen some of the issues that some certain parts of the city face that others don't. We want to just continue to figure out ways to make a real impact, and it's not just about money. It's about the time. It's about resources. It's about spreading the right type of information. And we've made a positive impact everywhere that we've gone, whether that's our hometowns, whether that's where we go to school at, whether that's in Portland. And I think for here there's specific needs that need to be addressed and things that are near and dear to our hearts. And it's about making situations better and leaving places better than they are when you found them. And I think for us, we're thankful that there's so many initiatives that are in line with what we believe in, that we can actually help do impactful work in, whether that's the dental field, whether that's scholarships, whether that's journalism, whether that's social justice or the juvenile situation that we have here. There's so many different ways that we can really, really impact our society, and we're thankful to be able to do it here.
The scholarship stuff, I think you're very excited about their college tour that they have going up. They might be going to a special college on that trip.
Yeah, they went to Lehigh. My wife and I hosted a dinner for them at St. Pizza before they went to just answer questions they had about college, the process, what it's like to be prepared, what do you do when you fail a test or fail on a paper, like how do you kind of get over those humps, and the importance of office hours. But they visited Lehigh, they went through admissions. It was a really cool situation for them, in which the president reached out and wanted to host them. So we're excited about them just being able to get outside of New Orleans and travel a little bit, see other cities, and explore different programs and see what the East Coast has to offer. They went to D.C. earlier in the summer, later in the fall, or late summer, early fall, and were able to kind of explore American. They went to Howard and some other schools, Morgan State as well. So they're getting around a little bit and continue to apply and are looking forward to graduating and moving on.
One of the things you said earlier that I wanted to revisit real quickly was you said there's some guys on this team that people think are quiet that aren't. Who would you put on that list? For example, is Herb one of those guys?
Herb is not quiet. B.I. is not quiet. Zion is not quiet. They all are funny. They all have really good personalities. They all have good energy and timely jokes.
You've talked a lot, even to the media, about just some of the financial stuff that you're interested in, like the long-term planning and stuff like that. I'm curious, are there any guys on this roster in particular that have reached out to you to discuss either financial stuff or post-playing career plans, like stuff like that?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of the guys have questions, or they see how I move, or some of the stuff that I'm doing or what I'm a part of, and will kind of ask for my opinion on stuff, and I'll tell them, give them as much as I can, as much of the game as I can, as many resources as many resources as I have, I'll try to give to them. And a lot of them are just learning, they're exploring, they're trying different things, whether that's asking me about how much they should be paying a contractor on a build out for a gym, or how much price per acreage should this be worth, like little stuff like that, or financial advice in terms of investing, different things that they may be investing in or looking for. How much should they be paying a trainer or a strength and conditioning person or a PT or whatever the case may be, all the way down to like nannies and just different stuff that you go through in life. And as a person who's had many life experiences, I just try to be a resource for everybody in terms of things that they may need, whether that's knowledge, advice, or guidance. And sometimes it's nothing. It's just like, hey, what do you think about this? Or I'm thinking about investing in this. How have you invested in this? And we'll just kind of have a dialogue. But I'm just here as a resource if it's needed. I'm not pushing anything on them. I'm not making them invest in things. I'm not, none of that. It's just like, here's information that's available for you guys. I might have made X, Y, Z on this. This may be a good investment for some of y'all. Like if y'all looking for, a 12% return or a 15 or a 20, like I can tell you, like these are the sectors that I'm in. I can give you advice on like what I'm doing and how I'm making money, and you can do whatever you want with your money.
Last couple things, I think Andrew and I would be remiss if we didn't say thank you for the food trucks yesterday. What kind of feedback, I guess, did you get from teammates and everybody around?
No, I've been doing this for some years, and this stems back to my younger days in the league. Just being able to have, an appreciation for the people around you that are helping, behind the scenes, making things go that don't necessarily get the credit they deserve. Staff, Pelican staff, Saint staff, players. It's just a way to show appreciation, but also support local businesses who have great product, right? But just maybe not having the marketing or the recognition that they deserve. Is a way to kind of put them in the spotlight. So it was a cool experience. I always enjoy it every year. This is like the fourth time I've probably done it here in this market. But food is good. We had lemonade. We had fresh juice. We had Southern's chicken sandwiches. We had Mac Daddy burgers, fries, just, food that we all probably grew up eating, different variations of that depending on where you're from. But just good for the soul, good to, be outside and get some vitamin D and just show appreciation.
I loved the seafood stuffed grilled cheese, so that from Mac Daddy. So that was my...
I can tell you how much he loved it because he ran back in the building with it to show everybody before he devoured it. He was very excited about the seafood stuffed grilled cheese.
And then everybody swarmed me so much I had to sit in like a back corner to make sure that no one took it from me. So obviously regular season's about to start here, and I was wondering too how excited you are that I know you have a lot of pull in the Players Association, but first weekend of the regular season, you get an entire 3 day span, 3 or 4 days in Portland. What did you think when you saw that on the schedule?
I don't know how that happened, yeah, shout out to Evan that scheduled on. It's a good challenge for us too. Play at home and get on the road against some young teams, talented teams who are going to play fast. They have a really good coach, a good environment. The fans always come out in Portland, and then we'll go and play a veteran team, right? A championship caliber team with experience, a little different style of play, obviously. Ball movement, space, screening, Steph Curry. So it'll be a really good challenge for us. But I think for us, it's just about getting better, stacking our days, and eating what's in front of you. And that'll start with preparing for Chicago.
Thank you, CJ. Appreciate you having you on the show.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Our thanks to Andrew Lopez, CJ McCollum, and you, Jim. You did a fantastic job. Very good job.
Thanks,
Very
guys.
good
I appreciate the ovation.
There it is. Oh, it says right here on the sticky note I'm supposed to
Clap for Jim.
clap for Jim. It's Wednesday, which means what? But you're going to do a little different twist this year.
Yeah, it's going to be Western Conference Wednesday. I'm going to add a couple wrinkles this season to the mix. Hopefully people enjoy it. First thing I want to do, too, before I even get into some of the categories of the West is just I bring this up not to be a downer here, but just to kind of, if we're going to preview the Western Conference this season, at least the start of the season, I think it's important to note that there's a few guys that are out, with injuries that are going to put them out for a little bit. So as you watch some of these teams, Kawhi Leonard's out for the Clippers at the beginning of the season, Jaren Jackson Jr. for the Grizzlies, Isaiah Hartenstein for OKC, Devin Vassell for San Antonio. 3 players for Portland that obviously the Pelicans are going to be playing them 2 games this weekend. Shaedon Sharpe, Robert Williams, Matisse Thybulle, all those guys are out. So it's definitely not something that we enjoy, the fact that there's so many guys out. But, I mean, it's a huge factor as we try to evaluate some of these teams at the beginning of the season. In terms of, I did a team to watch every Wednesday of the season last year. And I guess I'll start with that. The team to watch that I have for the next 7 days is the Phoenix Suns. And the reason I picked them, not only are a lot of people starting to say, like, oh, maybe this will be the year that they are a dangerous threat in the playoffs and during the regular season, but their schedule is loaded. I mean, they play tonight at the Clippers on ESPN, Friday at the Lakers on ESPN, Saturday they're home against Dallas, and then Monday they play the Lakers again. So I think Phoenix is, if you just look at who their opponents are, I mean, that might be the most interesting team over the next 7 days. Can they get off to a good start? Are they going to struggle against some of those opponents? So Phoenix is the team to keep an eye on. They added Tyus Jones at point guard, I think, is probably the biggest move that they made to try to get a little bit more organized with their offense and not have it be so much on Beal, Booker, Durant to just go one-on-one and isolate. Now they have somebody that can set them up, and I think reduce the turnovers drastically. That was a huge problem for them last year. And then the latter categories that I think I'm going to try to do each week of the season be a little easier as we get into the season. Then there's more games that have been played, but I'm going to do stock up and stock down. And so for stock up across the Western Conference, and it pains me a little bit to say this, but I'm going with the Lakers.
Of course you are.
Because they looked so good against the Timberwolves last night. And, I mean, that was impressive. I thought they played really well. And I think you're starting to see people, I mean, let's not go overboard. And I say that knowing that there will be plenty of people that go overboard today and say, maybe they're a championship contender because they beat the Timberwolves last night. But I'm going stock up Lakers. Like I said, I think the stock up, stock down thing will make more sense as we have more body of work and more games that these teams have played. My stock down this week is the Clippers. And I mentioned how Kawhi Leonard is injured just at the start of the season. They lost Paul George in the offseason to Philadelphia in free agency, which was a pretty big blow. Mm-hmm. But you're thinking, okay, we still have James Harden, we still have Kawhi Leonard to carry things. Now that Kawhi is out, and it doesn't seem to be clear on how long he's going to be out, I'm really focused, and a lot of people I think across the West are going to be focused on the Clippers. Can they remain competitive enough to stay in the play-in race, stay in the playoff race, that kind of thing? But I mean, it's brutal to have lost Paul George and then go into the season saying like Kawhi's out and we're not exactly sure. I mean, the word that they used was out indefinitely.
Yeah.
So that's
not a good word.
No. So that's why I'm going with stock down for the Clippers.
We at least get reevaluated every now and then.
Right.
We at least get the word reevaluated.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. You never want to hear the word indefinitely there as well. Now, look, to your point, it is interesting because one of the storylines going into this year a lot, especially when it comes to the Lakers, is this Anthony Davis's team. Mm-hmm. And his 36-point double-double. Look, we've talked about this as much as it pains us, obviously. It's when he's healthy, he is one of the best players in the league.
Sure.
And now that the league has sort of moved away from your typical bigs down low, move them out to shoot threes, we need space, pick and rolls, there aren't very many bigs or people that operate in the paint. So
exactly. Yep.
I think that's why maybe he has that success. Our condolences to Bronny. 3 minutes, no points, -5 and a +5 and 0 for 2 from the floor.
But he got to play with his dad.
He
Gus.
got to play with his dad.
Why are you so focused on the negatives?
I'm not.
I'm just kidding.
On that note, there was another game as well last night, and that was the Celtics. My goodness, they just literally picked up where they left off, 132-109 to win a 43-point first quarter. I forgot one thing. How did the Lakers always host?
That's a good
First
question.
game.
Right.
I mean, Minnesota was one of the best teams last year. Everyone is talking about Anthony Edwards being the next Michael Jordan. Why are they not opening the season in Minnesota?
I couldn't tell you that, man. I guess maybe because they knew that the LeBron thing was going to happen and it would be better to have it in L.A. I'm not really sure.
I guess because you only have so many teams on the West Coast. You have to have a late game.
Right.
On opening night.
Yeah, I mean, there's not that many teams on the West Coast other than the 6 that play out there.
You just told me one's a stock down. So I get it. But, man, your thoughts on how the Celtics looked last night?
Yeah, I mean, how about the fact that they almost set the NBA record, all-time record in the first game of the season for most threes made? It was kind of comical at the end of the game, the last 5-6 minutes, when they had exactly tied the record with 29 threes. Mm-hmm. And it was like, okay, let's break the record.
And they couldn't make one.
And there's about 3 air balls in the mix, too. So I thought it was kind of funny, too, in the last minute or so, when Mazzulla signaled to the court, he's like, all right, guys, don't take any more threes. Let's call it a night.
It's crazy. I mean, look, we always talk about, and you heard Graf say it, we've heard JD say it, we've heard the team and coach say it here with the Pels and Willie Green. They're going to try to at least attempt 40. Mm-hmm. The Celtics shot 61.
Right. Yeah.
61.
It's unbelievable, man.
I mean they shot 95 total shots, Jim. Do the math there.
And what was
61 of the 95 shots were beyond the arc.
And what was even more impressive than just the number they took was, I don't know exactly what this is. I'm pulling the number out of thin air a little bit here, but it seemed like at one point they were like 25 for 45 or something like that. So it was, I mean, they were shooting a ton, but they were also making it at a rate that was ridiculous. And if you shoot that well, no one's going to beat you if you shoot 60% and you're taking tons of threes as well.
Yeah, no, like I said, it's unbelievable. But it is game night. We got to get over to the arena. Can't wait to talk about the game tonight on Friday. And boy, that ought to be fun. I don't know if you know Taylor Swift's in town this weekend.
I've heard that there's a bunch of stuff set up. I think the extravaganza really in some ways is starting today too. Isn't there like a merchandise tent?
It's Champion Square. It's not a tent.
I know. As soon as I said 10, I was like, I think I undersold that a a bit. It's like
amazing. 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. Today and tomorrow for people that don't have tickets. I only know this because I heard this on every radio station driving my kids to school.
I thought maybe it was because you were in line for the tickets.
The reason why Friday is going to be fun for us, Jim, and Sunday, because she plays Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. The entire Smoothie King Center, that's the merch store. But to get in, you have to have a ticket. Yes. So for all of those people that are going Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, The entire Smoothie King Center is a merch store for the tour.
This sounds like it's going to be a challenge. It's going to be a get into the Smoothie King Center challenge. So
normally I can just say I know Jim and they let me in. I don't know if that's going to work this week.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's going to work this week.
No.
I guess the only thing going for us is, though, I do think that when they see us, we don't look like Swifties.
No.
You know,
no, not
like,
exactly the normal demographic.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, don't you have to wear like a shirt and French? Like, although, you want to make a friendship bracelet?
No.
You sure?
No, I really don't.
Would you wear a friendship bracelet if I gave you one?
Just for the photo, probably.
Okay.
Just for you to take the picture and say he did it, but yeah.
And
that's
it's coming right off, huh?
Yeah, probably.
That's a real shame. All right, well, that's Jim Eichenhofer. I'm Gus Kattengell. We will see you back on Friday right here on the New Orleans Pelicans Podcast.
Thanks for listening to the New Orleans Pelicans Podcast. Join us 3 times per week on Pelicans.com, the Pelicans mobile app, the iHeartRadio app, or where you get your podcasts. And be sure to give Jim and Gus a follow on X at Jim_Eichenhofer and GCat_17. We'll see you next time, right here on the New Orleans Pelicans Podcast.